Don't believe in aliens, they're never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the bringing from a van. Getting skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing on your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the bringing from a van. Getting skeptic, we all know what that means.
That music gets me so pumped up. I love it. Hello, it's Friday night. How are you guys doing? Oh my goodness, we got a whole bunch of people in here. You guys must be friends of Daryl, aka Bigfoot. We're going to talk about Bigfoot tonight. I can't wait. All right, so I want to say hi to, but there's so many people. Rabba is in the house. We got Kit Ford. We got, Kenny Biddle's in the house. I'm here. We got Michael Burking. I hope I'm saying that right. We got a bunch. I gotta say special thanks to Rob, Cynthia, and Kit Ford, who all became members. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Who else? We got Sandra Piper. That's cool. Nancy. Wow, I'm just going down. I'm going to go down real quick because there's a lot of people. Derek, Mr. Lee 3PO. That's awesome. I love that. Let's see. Going down. Squatch Talk's in the house. Julie R. We got Glenda's in the house. We got Teshi. We got who else we got? We got Dawn of the Dead. What's up, Dawn? Hope you're drinking out of your new awesome Skeptical Help Bar tumbler. Dr. Jim's in the house. We got Daniel Reed's in the house too. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. What's going through? We got a lot more people. Shauna, Faith, and Diane. And am I at the end?
No.
I think no? Oh my goodness, it keeps going. It never stops. Hey, Cat Max in the house. What's up, date night girl? Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure. That's our guest. He's in the house. That's pretty cool. Cree Storm. I like that. Devon Zipper. And let's see. Oh my goodness. It keeps going and going. It's like the Energizer Bunny of a chat room. Grumpy Bear's in the house. Kimberly Ann is in the house. Dawson Toller's in the house. Hello. Don't call me sir, damn it. That's okay. Anyway, Kimberly Ann. What's up? Love Eric. All right, so let me go over the rules real quick. Ooh, it's hot. I'm hot. That's probably all the air drums I was doing during the intro. Because I was rocking out. You should have seen me. It was beautiful. I mean, if I had drums in front of me, it would sound like shit, but I would look really cool. Anyway, rule number 1 is that you are welcome to ask questions. That's what this show is about. It's an educational and learning show. We have guests on. I do open mic nights, but it's all based on you guys asking questions. So in the events like tonight where we have a guest, the first hour, I'm going to talk to the guest. We're going to get to know each other. You're going to get to know the guest by our interaction. And then the second hour is reserved for questions. So do me a favor and save some of the questions or most of your questions till the second hour so we can get through them. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. That's pretty plain and simple. If you've ever met me, I don't know everything. The guest doesn't always know everything, but we try. If we don't know it, I'll either write it down in my handy notebook here and look it up for later, or if we have time, we'll look it up and share the screen and we'll learn together. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here, and that's be nice. You can be in the chat room, you can discuss things, you can debate, you can argue nicely, but don't devolve into name calling or any other things like that. If you get nasty or mean, Divine Donna, who is in the house,
I am here.
she's here. She will boot your ass out of here forever. Never to return. It's like the Twilight Zone. It's a deep, dark pit of.
We don't know how to get you back.
That. Rule number 4 is that if you do have a question, please do us a favor and put a capital Q in front of it. That way it helps Donna pick out the questions for the second hour of the show. And then rule number 5 is my favorite one of all, and that's drink up. That's for our American heroes there. I'm not saying what's in there, but it's good. All right, let me put my special guest tab up here, and then I will bring on our guest. Here we go. There's Eric Altman. What's up, buddy?
Dun, dun, dun.
It is good to see you, my friend. It's been way too long.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Or
I
two.
think when I started doing this, and that was before the pandemic, I think one of the early shows you came on and we chatted. And I know the previous podcast I was doing, the Geeks and Ghosts, I know you were on there once or twice or so, but you came on, we talked about Bigfoot and all other cryptids and stuff. And it's been a while, and you have this conference coming up. So I figured, you know what, let's get together. Let's talk about some of this and see what's up. So
Yeah, just a small conference.
just a small little conference that we're going to have fun at. We've enjoyed it because we've been there several times, and it's nice. It's a weekend away kind of thing. I personally never take vacations.
No, I've been trying to get them to take vacation.
It doesn't work that way for me. Like, I work on my vacations. When I plan to go somewhere, I'm always looking like, what's a haunted place that I can investigate? What's a claim? What is there monsters? Is there UFOs? Is there what's going on? What can I look at? So this is a good combination because it's at a campground, and we can relax for the weekend, do a little schmoozing and this and that, and then still have a good time. So why don't we go this way? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the Bigfoot community, and then we'll go into the conference.
Wow, that's a long answer.
Well, the more you talk, the less I have to. So I'm good with that. I'll be back. You take the show over.
Okay. I've been at this a long time. I got interested in it, involved in reading the newspaper articles, the magazines, the books, educating myself on the subject probably back in 1980. Growing up as a kid, I was a fan of monster movies and the really bad B sci-fi movies. You know, I just love that stuff. And one Sunday after church, I came home, and my parents back in 1980 had a little 13-inch black and white TV up in their bedroom. So I would disappear to my parents' bedroom, watch Sunday afternoon matinee, which was usually a sci-fi or a monster movie. And they had a film on called Legend of Boggy Creek. And it's a 1972 film that was put out by a guy named Charles B. Pierce. And it's a docudrama based on Bigfoot sightings, creature sightings in the Fouke, Arkansas area, right at the state lines of Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas.
Okay.
And these people that lived in this little small farming community of like about 400 people were having these encounters and experiences with this swamp beast or swamp monster, Bigfoot, if you want to call it that. And from the mid 1960s up to the film was made in 72, there were a lot of sightings and a lot of encounters going on. And that kind of attracted Charles Pierce down from Texarkana to want to make a movie about this. And it's a fascinating movie because it's based on eyewitness sightings and claims, and they did the reenactments and recreations. Probably the first of its kind to ever do that. And it's filmed in the swamps and the bayous, the Sulphur River bottoms, and around Fouke, and of course Boggy Creek. And watching this movie, I was captivated, thinking, okay, well, I'm a monster movie fan, so is this thing real? I mean, is there something really to this? And at 10 years old, you can be easily influenced into, believing in this stuff. And I thought it was a great movie. It was scary. It was fun. And just the possibility of this thing existing really kind of blew my mind. So off to the public library I went, and I started looking up books and magazines and newspaper articles. And I was shocked to find out there were Bigfoot sightings being reported and investigated in my hometown of Greensburg, Pennsylvania. And they were still happening, at the time that, I started investigating. So I was stunned. And some of these reports were actually taking place a mere few miles from my house.
Okay.
So I started devouring anything I could find on Bigfoot and any kind of creatures. And I found that it was a small section in the library, but a section nonetheless that had books on hauntings and sea creatures, cryptid creatures.
I remember
UFOs.
that section.
It wasn't a very big section, but it
Right.
was still enough that, and I started checking these books out and reading them and checking them out again, keeping books past their overdue dates, and just really started educating myself. And about the age of 13, I found out that there was a gentleman that lived in my hometown named Stan Gordon. And he was investigating a lot of these Bigfoot claims and reports, as well as UFO and all this stuff. And I was like, I got to meet this guy. So I found out that he had a UFO Bigfoot display at the Green Gate Mall in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. So I begged my parents. I said, you got to take me to the mall. I want to meet this guy. Just drop me off. I'll spend the whole day there. So I did. And he had about 8 or 9 folding tables all around the mid section of the mall where I guess they had the food carts and stuff. And
Right.
I just spent the whole weekend just bugging the hell out of him, just asking questions, looking at pictures of footprints, talking to him about cases. And what really impressed me was he didn't chase me away. He didn't say, get out of here, kid, you're bothering me. He actually took the time and answered my questions, talked to me about these cases. And from that point forward, I was hooked. I had to learn as much as I could. And Stan became a mentor towards me, and I read everything that came out in the newspaper about him, any sightings or activity that was going on. We became fast friends, and I've known Stan now for, 41 years. And to this day, we still go out and investigate cases together. We speak together at conferences. We've been all up and down the East Coast together. We talk on the phone once or twice a week. He's become like a father figure to me. And we just share information about the latest sightings and encounters and UFO stuff we talk about. So anything paranormal, we kind of talk about. But for the first probably from 10 to about my early 20s, I really just studied the subjects. I wanted to learn the history. I wanted to learn about Native American history, looking at archived newspaper articles from all over the country. And I just wanted to learn as much as I could and find out if there was something to this phenomenon. And probably just before I got married, I moved to Ohio with my fiance, who's my wife now. And we lived in a small town called Newton Falls. And through college and stuff, I put Bigfoot and the cryptid stuff on the back burner. I really just didn't have time for it. So when we moved to Ohio, I found the Ohio library and went over there. Just internet was just starting to come out. This is in like 1993, 94.
Right.
Started looking into internet stuff, and I was finding websites, believe it or not, on Bigfoot back then. There were a few of them, not many, but there were still a few. And it kind of shocked me that we're having a Bigfoot meeting over in Ohio, not far from where I lived. And we're like fans and researchers to get together and talk about it. They had a big conference coming up with some people that I had read about in books and magazines. I thought this is a great chance for me to really get involved and meet these people and see what my first conference was. And I think it was 96 that I attended my first Bigfoot conference. And I met a guy named Don Keating. And he's been doing research in Ohio for a long time. And at that time, there was Stan Gordon, I think Dr. Paul Johnson, maybe another one or two other people in Pennsylvania doing Bigfoot research. And Don said to me, he's like, there's nothing holding you back from getting involved and going out in the woods and looking for yourself. Because that's the only way you're ever going to find it if there's any truth to this, is to go investigate these cases, talk to these people yourself. So that's what I started doing. I started getting familiar with where these sighting locations happen, finding out where they're at, looking at the area, looking at food sources, looking at water sources, looking at the animals that were in the area, and of course talking to the eyewitnesses if I could get a hold of them, and hearing their stories firsthand rather than just reading about it. And I started investigating my first couple of cases in like 1997. And from there, I've been doing it ever since. So I've been investigating cases, claims, footprint discoveries, anything involved with cryptids. I've been doing it since 97 and going on, I guess, 27 years now, close to it.
Man,
so
you're old.
I am. Yeah,
I can see that there too.
What's pretty bad is when some of these researchers today call me one of the old timers in the field, and I'm like, man, that's yeah, okay.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. There's a guy, I don't know if he's still in the chat, Dawson, that when I met him once, and he's a younger guy, definitely a younger guy, and yeah, we were going back and forth. He was giving me old man jokes the whole time we were hanging out together, and I still get it from him, but that's all good because I'll teach that little shit a thing or two. I love you, Dawson, if you're watching. So you're into it. You're researching it. You're investigating these cases, these eyewitness claims. Have you ever seen one yourself?
I've never seen what I can definitively say was a Bigfoot. I've seen some pretty strange things over the years. Eye shine where there's no branches for a bird or a raccoon or anything like that. I had an encounter in 2020 in Fayette County. Matter of fact, the game lands that you and I went out and investigated at, if you remember that, when
Right.
Bob came down and a couple of the other guys came down and we spent the weekend. I saw something in a bush just to the top of the bush, and probably a little bit bigger than golf ball sized orange eyes that were reflecting back at my truck as we were coming towards it. Okay. And only saw it for a second. The eyes disappeared real quick. I stopped. I was leading a caravan of people out. I stopped. We investigated. We saw the eye shine again about 100 yards further back into the woods, and it was seen by 3 or 4 other people. So there was something there. We don't know exactly what it was, but whatever it was the eye shine was pretty high off the ground. Okay. I can't say it was a Bigfoot, but there was some kind of animal that we saw that night. And I had one other experience in Ohio at Salt Fork State Park where we were out in the park late at night, about 4 a.m., myself and another researcher, and we had rocks thrown at us. Now, I didn't see the rocks, but I heard them hit the ground, and the other researcher that was with me saw one of the rocks hit the ground. It scared him so bad, he took off for the vehicle and left me standing there. Oh. And that's why we're there. I mean, I want to see this thing if it's a Bigfoot, but
right.
He wanted to leave. He was at the car trying to get in the car. I came back to the car to let him in, and as we were backing the car out, my high beams went across something that stood up behind this bush and was watching us. And I only saw it for about 2 or 3 seconds, had a bluish white eye shine reflection. And once I realized what I was seeing, I stopped the car, pulled back in, put the high beams on that bush, and it was gone. So whatever was there was gone pretty quickly. And again, I can't say that was a Bigfoot, but there was something that was standing upright behind a bush and looking at us. So I have no idea what it was. You know, I went back the next day and I found a whole area of grass trampled down, like some kind of animal was walking around back there, but I have no idea what it was. But those are the only 2 real occasions where I've seen something that was very strange, and I couldn't relate it to any animal that I'm familiar with. And simply because of where the eyes were, where I saw them, there's no branches for an owl or a bird or any kind of animal to be sitting on looking back. So those kind of puzzle me. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely something there.
So, I mean, I you know, I'm a little skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear something like that, my first thoughts are like, how was distance judged? I mean, if you saw it, it looks like it's behind a bush, but we're talking it's nighttime, obviously, because you have headlights on, so it's dark out. How can you be certain that whatever you saw was actually right at the bush or right behind it and not further back?
Well, the one set of eye shine I saw that was orange, bigger than golf balls, that was just behind the bush itself, because it ducked down and I saw its eyes go behind a branch of the bush. And we measured the top of that bush. That bush was 9 feet tall. So something was at the top of the bush just behind it. And we did find grass and brush that was trampled down behind the bush. So something was there. In Ohio, like I mentioned, there was some brush there that had been trampled down. It was like thickets, if you want to call it that, briar patch. So there was something right behind the bush there as well. How far back it was, I couldn't tell you, because the grass behind that bush was thoroughly trampled.
Okay.
Like something heavy walked around and matted a good 4 or 5 foot area. So there was something big there. That's all I can tell you.
And I guess I have, and again, this is nothing towards you. Like, my question, I hope you understand. Like, it's nothing.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Just general questioning here. It's just like we also don't know if that trampling happened at that time.
Right.
Like, it could have happened before, or it could have been like that for a while. We don't know. These are all mysteries. Because I mean, it's interesting, it's fun, and I have been out with you, which has been fun. We've been out. You guys have let me come along. That one with Bob and Bob Christopher, and filming an episode of their show. But we had fun going out in the woods. Especially, was that the time with the cicadas?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. People covered in cicadas. Oh my goodness! Like, Bob Christopher screamed so loud because they would. I mean, you're talking, if you've never seen a cicada, they're like, with the wings, they're a good. I mean, I think the body's like 1.5 inches long, and they just land on you, and he was freaking out.
I would have been freaking out too.
That was funny. I thought it was funny, but it's difficult because it's nighttime. It's out in the woods. If you see something, I wouldn't know unless I could actually go over and see something standing there. I wouldn't know if like the eye shine was actually behind the bush, or if it was further behind it, and I'm still seeing the branches like block it as I try to move around, because you can still have something about 10-20 feet behind it and still have the branches of a bush block it. So it's curious. I mean, I'm not dismissing it. It's just, it's curious, and I would love to know like what that was.
Yeah, so would I, because I can't say definitively what type of animal it was. It could have been a raccoon. It could have been a night bird. It could have been something like that. And distance had a part to play in it, but I can't say what it was. I'm not going to say it was a Bigfoot, but the possibility is there because of the height at which I saw the eye shine, especially the orange one. But I didn't see it for sure, so I can't say what it was. Right. It was something. That's all I can tell you.
And that's why I think we get along pretty well, or at least I like you. not in that way. Don't get any ideas. We're not spooning. But I mean,
not at all.
I mean, the first time that we met, was it at your conference? I think it was at your camping. Or maybe that was the first time we really hung out together. We might have met before that.
I think it was at Dana and Chris's event in Gettysburg.
Yeah. And then it was later on, and we came out to your camping adventure, and I really got to spend some time with you out. Like, we went on a hike, a nighttime hike, and I made sure to get next to you so I could ask you questions. And I was pleasantly surprised with your answers. Because I was expecting something different. I was waiting, and I think one of the questions, and we can talk about this, about like tree knocks, and stuff like that. Like, one of my big problems was when people like smack trees with a baseball bat or something like that, and if they hear knocks from a distance, so many claim that that's a response from a Bigfoot. And my immediate knee-jerk reaction is, well, how do you know that? And I think we talked about it, and you were like, you don't.
Right.
You don't. What can you tell us about that? Like tree knocks, and then also Bigfoot calls.
Well, it's along the same premise. I mean, unless you see the animal making the call or knocking against the tree, it could be anything. It could be another person out there in the woods, another Bigfoot researcher who's you're knocking back and forth with them, or you're doing calls and they hear you, so they think you're a Bigfoot and they're going to do calls, and you think they're a Bigfoot. Unless you see the animal, I've always been of the mindset that unless you see what's making the call, or you're like a zoologist or a wildlife biologist, and you're familiar with the types of animal sounds they make, and the animals can make some crazy sounds, but you don't know what it is unless you see it. So if you're hearing the knocking in the woods, that could be another Bigfoot researcher. It could be Farmer Smith who lives down the road who's hearing you, and he's like, what the hell's that? I'm going to do it back. You just don't know. And yeah, a lot of people jump to conclusions. I've been in the situation where I've been in the woods very remote, and nobody's known where I'm going. There's no other cars around. I hear the knocks. I won't say it's a Bigfoot, but something out there is making that noise. What is making that noise? That's what I'm out there to try to find out.
What do you do? Like if you like in that situation when you're out there, you're by yourself, you're, you know, bumfuck Egypt in the middle of the woods, and you hear knocking. Do you try to track it down?
I try if the terrain is okay for me to travel on, because if I'm by myself and I have to climb down a real steep ravine, I don't have the tools to do it, and I'm hearing knocking coming from in a hollow, and I'm not familiar with that, I might fall and injure myself. So I'm not going to risk my safety just to find out what the knocking is. I'll just write it off as I heard knocking and leave it at that. I don't know what did it, but you know, I couldn't get down there to investigate it. If I can safely, then heck yeah. Most of the time I'm not safe. I'm stupid, and I just go running towards the sounds to see what it is. But
I can relate to that.
Yeah, Kenny's not too smart sometimes.
That doesn't look too high.
Yeah,
I can make it. I mean, I'm chubby. I'll just bounce.
Yeah,
like a bumble. I'll just bounce all the way down.
You'll be both.
All right. So I guess, yeah, you mentioned like the Bigfoot calls are the same. Do you know, actually, like, do you know where the idea of the knocks came from? Like, where did that originate?
I think it came from the Sierra Sounds from the 1970s. 1972, 73, where Ron Moorhead was up in the Sierra Mountains over near the California-Nevada line. And he claims that they captured something that, if you ever listen to the recordings, are fascinating, but they claimed that they had experiences with some kind of animals or beings, or whatever you want to call them, and they were doing knockings, rhythmic knockings on a log. And it's in the recordings. You can go find it on YouTube. Just look up Sierra Sounds, and you can hear the knocking. But I think they go back to that. I know chimpanzees, they do rock clacking, which is often reported by Bigfoot researchers, them hearing the rock clacking in the woods. So, and primates do the knocking where they can they do it to try to drive other animals away. It's like to scare them off. Like if they have an encounter with a tiger or like a big feline cat or something, they want to drive it off, they'll do the knocking to try to scare it off. So it is kind of linked into the primate behavior. So I think researchers kind of put those two possibilities together. And but people talk about knocking all the time. It's become commonplace.
Right. And I mean, it's the ones you talked about, the recording that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So do you know if they were actually observing creatures, or were they just hearing it? Well,
the story of that was there was a hunting camp up in the high Sierras, about 8 miles in, riding horseback, and originally it was a deer hunting camp, and Ron found out about it from them coming back and talking about having these experiences where they would hear this strange language and screams and howls and knocking, and something would come into camp and knock their dishes around and get into their food and stuff. So they invited Ron up to the camp. They would go inside a lean-to at night, and while they were in the lean-to, they would hear this language and these weird sounds and all this strange commotion going on. And eventually, one of Ron's associates went up. His name is, I think it's Ron Barry, maybe, or John Barry. The name escapes me at the moment, but I'll probably remember it later. But he put out a recorder, microphone and a recording device out in the woods. They would go into the lean-to, and while they were in the lean-to, they would hear these things communicating with each other. And it sounds almost like a language, but it's not anything that I've ever heard before. It doesn't sound like Russian or Arabic or Egyptian, nothing I've ever heard before. It's all guttural. It's crazy sounding language, but they claim that this went on for several years, and they kept getting these recorded. They had the recordings analyzed by several universities, and they came to the conclusion that it was not, it wasn't faked. It wasn't like overdubbed or played backwards, or the tape wasn't manipulated, that there was actual language on those tapes. What language it was, I don't know, but according to what Ron says, and Al Berry, that's the guy's name, Al Berry, according to what they say, that's the interactions that they had. And it's a fascinating recordings. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, you can make up your own mind, but I think it's interesting. So that's all I can say. I wasn't there. I didn't experience it. I can go by what they talk about and what's on the tapes.
Right. You're just relating the story. That's
right.
all.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing that, and like, I mean, I'd love to listen to it a little bit more, but it brings up the same problem of just putting a microphone in the woods and just getting noises. I mean, without actually finding the source of that noise, you don't know what's going on. And I mean, it could be, and I'm not saying it is, but it could have been them. You know, they could have been back in the cabin making noises and recording it. It could have been some animals that were coming by and making some like guttural kind of noises. I don't know. I haven't even heard it, so I'm just speculating right now. But so all right, what about let's talk about Bigfoot tracks, because they seem to be a popular one. I have a replica one from you, but have you come across any?
I have, and some for probably the first let's say 10 15 years, I came across a lot of impressions, and I still come across a lot of impressions in the ground that look like feet, or could look like feet, but it's all in the eye of the observer.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if you see it in the ground and you want it to be a Bigfoot track, it's going to look like a Bigfoot track. Most of the impressions I roll out is just impressions in the ground. It could be left by anything. Now, if there was a sighting, and someone said they saw Bigfoot cross the road, and there were large individual impressions going up a hillside or an embankment, that adds a little more credence to what they could be. But I didn't see the animal leave the tracks or the impressions, so I can't say for sure what caused the impressions.
Right.
However, I have come across several tracks, prints, if you want to call them that, in the last couple of years, where they are actually bare footprints with toes, which you can see definitively, and they are much bigger than a human foot. I'll give you an example. April 26th of this year, I got a phone call from a couple of guys that were scouting an area for turkey season, and they were on an ATV trail about 200 yards in the woods, and they came across a series of 4 large human-like footprints that crossed a muddy pit. And they sent me the pictures, and they looked compelling. I thought, well, maybe they could be bear, but I'd like to see these in person before I make any kind of judgment on what they are.
Right.
So we made arrangements with one of the gentlemen to meet him. We went up Sunday. We met him. These were not bear tracks. I've seen bear tracks in the woods. I'm familiar with what bear tracks look like, even the double steps of bear tracks. These were not bear tracks. These were large bear footprints with very large, long toes. They had 5 toes in the front, and each foot sunk about 1.5 inches, 2 inches deep in the ground. And these were not made by a static foot or someone making a fake foot and stomping in the ground, because the toes at the front of each foot were spread in different directions. In other words, it was showing a live flexible foot.
They were going like that.
Yeah, the toes were spreading out as it went through the mud, and they were in different positions on each of the casts that I made. I was able to make 3 of the 4 footprint casts with dental stone. The tracks measure 15 inches long by, I think, 8 inches wide across the ball and 5 across the heel. And I'm not saying that they're Bigfoot tracks, but they don't look like any animal track that I've ever seen before. So I don't know what made them. I wasn't there to see the animal make them,
Right.
but they're compelling. I have had Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Meldrum or not, but
A little bit. Yeah.
he's an anthropologist, and he's a primate anatomy expert. And I had him look at the castings and the pictures, and he came to the conclusion that these tracks, he was convinced 75 to 80% that they came from a Bigfoot. And he has over 200 castings in his collection of alleged Bigfoot tracks. So he has a PhD. He has experience in foot locomotion and how toes move and how feet move in the ground. So he was convinced they weren't fake or weren't static footprints, like I mentioned. They weren't cutouts or carved feet. They came from an actual living foot. But he wasn't there to say they were Bigfoot, so he can't definitively say that's what they were.
So that's what I like when you related that he was like, what, like percentage? I forget the percentage you said, but
yeah,
like
75 to 80.
Like say that it was an actual Bigfoot, and I have a big issue with that, because I mean, how can you? And again, I know you can't speak for him, so I'm thinking out loud here. I don't see how anyone can put a percentage of how likely it is to belong to a species when we in fact do not have that species to compare it to. It bothers me that someone would actually go out on a limb and say, yeah, like 75 to 80% sure that this is a Bigfoot, when we don't have a creature to compare it to. There's nothing there to compare it to. So that to me, that seems like an irresponsible kind of conclusion.
I see your point on that, but I will disagree to the point where he has seen other tracks. He has over 200 in his collection, if not more. And he studies feet and morphology of feet and how they move and how they flex. So I think he's a little more familiar with what a Bigfoot print would look like based on the castings and seeing them over a number of years, not just one set to compare it to, but others that he's seen. And that, I think, the reason he gives it that percentage is because he is convinced that they are real based on his studies of the tracks and the subject matter. So
I'll go again and just say, and I like that you disagree with me. I love when you aren't afraid to disagree and they just like gloss over it. But I will say also, like, I mean, like, we still don't have a confirmed Bigfoot print. So for all we know, this is just a larger print, a larger footprint. So we can't say it's any percentage likely to be this animal. Like if we make up, and I'm just going to make up an example here. Like if we said this looks like a unicorn print, we don't know what a fucking unicorn print looks like. So we can't say that it's 80, 90, or 50% like this, or that I'm sure it's there. If we don't have one, it's just a bigger foot. And whether it is or not, I don't know. And I'm just going off the information. I haven't seen these yet. I have seen the one, like the replica that I got from you, and then some other casts. But again, like there's if we don't have a known sample, we can't give any kind of percentage. It's just right now, I think it would be better to say this is a category of large footprints. And I think that would be more accurate than saying it's 75 or 80% probably a Bigfoot print. And that's just me. That's just me.
That's fair. That's fair. you're absolutely right. We don't have a live specimen. I've never seen one, so I can't say they're real. But I can say with certainty that the phenomenon is real. And what I mean by that is the phenomenon has been going on for hundreds of years. People claim they see these things, and we are finding circumstantial evidence that supports the phenomenon. Does that mean the animal's real? No, it means the phenomenon is real. Because there's something out there leaving large footprints in the woods that are being discovered, and not just by me, but by other people, out there discovering things. There are people recording sounds that don't match any known animal, at least nothing that could be identified. The only thing that we're lacking right now is a body that conclusively proves that the phenomenon is a Bigfoot. But there is something to the phenomenon. I will say that.
I think there's a phenomena. Banana. Sorry. That just popped. That completely took over my brain when I said that. There's something out there, but I don't know if it's an actual creature or if it is maybe like I don't know how to say it, a collection of various different things. And perhaps many that are misinterpreted, because again, as we talked about, like we can have footprints that we can just say are large footprints. We can have noises that people record, but if we don't have a source and they don't match any known things, we don't know if it's just another person that's out there doing this, making weird noises. The tree knocking, all these things come together, but in the end, at the bottom line is like we have no source for it. So these are all different aspects that are coming together, and I think there's a correlation that's made between people, much like in ghost hunting, much like in UFO hunting, and alien stuff, where people pull in different scenarios or different aspects and try to make all of them fit into one category. That's what I see. I see a lot of, especially when I had the opportunity to go out with you, because I think every time I've gone Bigfoot hunting, it's because of you. Because we met up at the camping things, and then when Bob came out for the filming, so like I think I came out to two camping things. How many did you have? I think I went to.
I've had 4.
4. So I think we've been.
This is the 4th one.
All right. So maybe we missed one. Yeah. So we are 2, and then the Bob thing. So I've been out with you 3 times at least, and like I see a lot that's open to interpretation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just this. And when I watch some of the shows, and we probably have, I don't know if we have different opinions on it. I can't stand some of them.
I can't either. I hate the shows.
Some of them are just so bad that there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of acceptance. Maybe that's it. Because so many accounts that are not investigated, so many accounts are simply accepted as that was a Bigfoot sighting. And when they're not investigated, we don't know for sure. But I think a lot of books, especially the like more pro-belief kind of books, and then a lot of the documentaries or TV shows that are put out, which of course they love the mystery, so they're gonna feed that fire, put these stories out there, and we really don't know. And I think this phenomena grows because of all these inputs coming in and making this big, it's almost like what do I want to say? I'm going to say it's like a blob. It's like the Blob, that old movie, The Blob, where the more it ate, the bigger it got. So I see a lot of this stuff coming in. But that's speculation on my part, because, again, I don't spend a lot of time out there. Thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the only way that you can get past the speculation on your part is to spend time out in the woods to find out for yourself. And that's what I encourage other people to do. Don't take my word for it. Don't take any Bigfoot researcher's word for it. Find out for yourself. And that's what I'm trying to do. To me, I'm not looking to prove this to the world. I'm not looking to document the species. I want to know if this thing's real or not. That's
Right.
why I investigate and talk to people to see what they saw. That's why I go and look at casts or footprints in the ground and cast them. That way I can say, okay, I have 3 tracks here that don't look like a human foot. They came from something. What is it? And I want to find out what it is. So I keep doing it. And that's why I've been doing it for a long time.
Have you ever come across tracks that you can follow?
I did on one occasion. And although they were a little suspicious from my investigative point, there was still a lot involved. That happened in Mount Pleasant Township, not far from where I live. A gentleman who was out fishing one morning called me up and said, hey, I found a series of tracks out here along the creek, and they're barefoot tracks. They're not very large, but they're barefoot tracks, and they go on up the creek on both sides of the creek for a good while. And I went down and took a look at them. I made some castings of them. They're in the range of human footprints. They're about 10 inches long, so they definitely could have been human footprints. Some of the area where they were found was a little suspicious because I don't see why somebody would be walking around in that area where there's a lot of rocks and stones, and it was kind of hard for us to get to where these tracks showed up again. Right. So why somebody would be there is kind of suspect, but it could be human prints. I don't know, but we followed them for a good 1.5 miles up the creek on both sides, and it seemed like whatever was walking was crossing back and forth across the creek. And going back to Dr. Meldrum again, while I was out there, I was doing a Facebook Live on the tracks that I was looking at and just trying to get feedback from anybody else watching. What do you think they could be? I want to hear other opinions.
Right.
And Jeff happened to jump on, and Jeff said, those are human prints. Those are human footprints. They're not Bigfoot tracks. And I said, well, I would have to agree with you because of the size. But what's peculiar is why they're showing up where they're showing up. It doesn't make sense for somebody to be out here walking barefoot. But taking into account, they make shoes that look like feet now.
Right.
They could have been stompers. There's a lot of possible explanations, but it was just a really odd circumstance why they were found where they were found at. And again, I can't rule out a human. I can't say it wasn't. All I know is that we found probably a good 1.5 miles of these prints.
Okay. And I mean, that's not normal, right? To find, at least from what I hear, to find multiple tracks like that.
No, it really isn't. Usually when somebody finds a track, it's 1 or 2. And if they're going to fake tracks, they're going to put tracks where people can find them. In other words, they know where somebody's going to be fishing, so they're going to put a couple tracks there at the creek bank, and that'll be it. They're not going to wander up the creek 1.5 miles, 2 miles in some pretty rough terrain and plant a couple fake tracks up there. What's the chances of somebody stumbling across those? And even in cases where they're found out in the wilderness, off a beaten or even off a trail in the woods, when there's 3 or 4 tracks found, why would somebody put those tracks there when there's a good chance nobody's going to come across them? That to me has always been a puzzling question. But it doesn't mean they're Bigfoot tracks. It just means there's tracks showing up in places where you wouldn't expect them.
Right. And I wonder if people are out there, maybe, again, like you said, there are shoes that look like feet now.
Yeah.
Especially ones for running and hiking.
Mm-hmm.
So what if somebody just went off the beaten path, made footprints, left, and then nature by itself, weathering, widened these footprints or made them larger?
It's possible, yeah.
Okay. DNA. Have you ever caught anything else besides footprints? Have you found hair or teeth or bones or skin or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
We found hair up in Clearfield County. This was in 2009, 2010. Something had broken the tops off of pine trees, like just snapped the top off of about 5 or 6 pine trees in this meadow. And somebody claimed they had a experience in this meadow. That's why we were up there. And at the top of the pine trees, they were snapped, and we found these strands of about 3 or 4 inch long hair. And I sent them off to Jeff because he claims to be familiar with different types of hair and identifying them. And I asked him to look at them through his electron microscope and tell me if he can identify them or at least give me an idea. And it took about a year to hear back from him. And I think his answer, if I'm not mistaken, was he believed they were bear hair. So I don't know if if he even looked at them. I don't know if he was just recalling from memory. I wasn't there to see him do the tests, but that was one of the occasions where we found some possible hair. And I've had other people present hair to me before. I haven't had it tested. To be honest, DNA testing is quite expensive. I don't have $1,500, $2,000 lying around just to blow it on testing a strand of hair and hope that it's Bigfoot related.
Pocket change.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So we're getting near the hour, the top of the hour here, or the bottom of the hour. Which is it? The bottom of the hour? Bottom? At the end of the hour?
End of the hour.
End of the hour. We're getting at the end of the hour. So we're gonna take our break soon. Not yet, but I want to jump in a little bit and talk about this Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Weekend that's coming up, and in a few weeks, right? What is it, like 3 weeks? Something
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah, less than a month.
So tell us about that. What's that about?
Well, from 1999 through 2010, I hosted an event called the the East Coast Bigfoot Conference, and it was in Pennsylvania. And it's much like the paranormal conferences that go on today. We would invite Bigfoot researchers, investigators, outdoorsmen to come and talk about their experiences, their research, share it with the public. And that event was pretty popular. It went on for, like I said, probably 10, 11 years. And we had to stop doing it because the building we were holding at, the owner decided not to rent to the people who were renting it anymore. So we lost the building. So I decided to take a break. And in 2016, I thought, there's at that time, now there's an overabundance of them. There weren't many outdoor festivals. And nobody was really doing the opportunity to go out, look for Bigfoot for themselves, hear from some investigators, do some hands-on workshops. So I figured, I've been bothered. I shouldn't say bothered, but I've been bugged by many, many people over the years. Take me out with you when you go out. Let me come along. Let me tag along. So I thought,
I was one of them people.
why not put it together and give people the chance to go out and experience what it's like to be in the woods at night looking for Bigfoot. They can hear from other experienced researchers. They can learn some hands-on, get some experience from workshops, learn how to make a plaster cast, learn how to take measurements properly, that sort of thing, and camp with us and raise money for charities. So we started it in 2016. We had about 300 people. 2017, we had probably close to 400 or 500 people. 2019, we had I think we were close to 800 to 1,000 people that came to the event over the weekend. And then COVID hit. We stopped doing it. I was going to do it in 2023, but the owners of Benner's, they were new owners. Their management team wasn't very cooperative and wasn't easy to work with. So we decided to pull the plug on it. A new set of owners bought it in 2023, late 2023. And they contacted me and said, we heard about your festival. We heard it was pretty successful. We'd like to have you come and do it again. So I met with the organizers. We talked about it. We met with the owners. They were all in. So we decided to do another one this year in 2024 at Benner's Meadow Run Campgrounds in Farmington, PA. And the campground we picked is because it's in an area where there's been a lot of sightings. And matter of fact, when you and I went out in the woods, it's not far at all from where the campgrounds is. So we held it there 3 times before, had some good success with it. A lot of people liked it, enjoyed themselves. And it's a very, as you know, it's a very laid back festival. There's nothing super structured. Everybody can just go visit. Researchers we have a couple TV celebrities come in from some of the shows for the kids. We raise money for charities, and we give people the chance to go out in the woods if they've never done it before. Especially the kids. The kids are all big into Bigfoot now, so they love doing that. And we take them out, we teach them some of the things we use, show them some of the tools and equipment we use for research, give them a chance to go look for Bigfoot for themselves. And again, we raise the money for charities, so it couldn't be for a better cause.
What charities?
We have Fayette Friends of Animals, which is a local animal shelter in Fayette County. And we have another charity called One Voice, One Community, which is a charity that raises money for underprivileged children.
Oh, wow. They're really nice charities. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're going to have some speakers, right?
Yeah,
I know I'm one of them.
Yeah, we have 8 speakers. And I'm actually kind of glad you're going to be a speaker this year, because we talked about this at Phenomenology a few years ago. We were at the bar getting drunk and talking about it.
I don't remember that.
But
yes, I do.
the conversation that we had was, I wanted you to come because I want to give people a well-rounded look at the subject from all points of view, not just the believers, but the skeptics, from the scientific point of view, from those who think Bigfoot might be interdimensional or being involved with maybe aliens. We want to give people a full, well-rounded look at the subject, so they're not just hearing from believers. They can hear from skeptics. They can hear from people who are experienced outdoorsmen or law enforcement officers who got involved in this, and how they use their skills and observation and collecting forensic data. We want the people to get a well-rounded look at all the subject, and that's why we're having you there. We have 8 great speakers from all a variety of different backgrounds, and we have 2 workshops where we're going to have people teach. I believe one is how to, the tools that they use when they do the research and how to use them properly, like a thermal FLIR, night vision, that sort of thing. And another one, Dave Wickham is going to be teaching a class, a workshop on how to take measurements of footprints you may find in the woods, how to document them correctly, how to make castings of them. So he'll have an hour workshop on that. And then, as I mentioned, we have a couple of TV celebrity guests coming in. Ken Gerhard, he's coming. He's on that show, The Proof Is Out There, on the History Channel. And we've got a couple of the guys from the Ames team coming back from the TV show Mountain Monsters. They're always a big draw for the crowds and the fans. The kids love them too. So I think we've got a really well-rounded event coming up in a couple of weeks.
Cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And you have I think you have night hikes or different hikes to go out to.
Yeah.
So if people, are they extra? Or are they part of the ticket price?
They're included with the ticket price. So
Okay.
if you've bought tickets for the event and you're coming out, you can sign up for a night hike. Now, the spaces are limited. We have so many spaces, thanks to the Game Commission. We can only take so many people out on each hike. But we are still taking reservations for those. So if you bought a ticket for the event, or you come to the event and you buy a ticket at the door, if there's still room, we can get you on a night hike. And what that entails is we have people that are familiar with the area taking a group of people out in the woods hiking, allowing them to use the thermal FLIRs, the night visions. They can do the knocks on the trees if they want. They can do some Bigfoot calls if they want, see if they get responses. And it's essentially them going out and looking for Bigfoot in an area where there have been Bigfoot sightings in the past few years.
Okay. I'll warn you, if I know you and you're on my hike, I will make fun of you if you smack a tree with a baseball bat. I will make fun of you.
Here's what you do. You take a knocker and you smack Kenny in the head with the knocker.
Yeah.
I'm sure several people will want to.
Yeah.
Steve
have no doubt.
will be behind you waiting his turn.
Yeah. I'll bring my helmet. I got a safety helmet around here somewhere that I'll wear just in case. You never know. All right, so we are at the 1 hour mark. We're going to take our break. We have about a 4-minute break. We'll come back and we will take questions. We got a bunch of questions already in the queue. So we'll start hitting those. And if you guys want to, again, I'll put up the banner here. Just to remind you that during the break, if you do have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, put a capital Q in front of it. If we get too many, we're probably not going to get to them all, but we'll try to get to as many as possible. All right. So with that said, I'm going to play our break video, and we will see you back here in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
something completely different.
Welcome my fellow skeptics, welcome one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle, the main investigator, is my game, and I will have at it. Quick or close, as the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright? Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day, and if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright? Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the machine, but trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144p. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open my night. Yeah, yeah. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open my night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle.
I needed an extra couple seconds because I was writing down notes. It's all good. All right. So we're going to get into the Q&A part of the show, which is what I love because you never know what people are going to ask. So here we go. First, let me take the banner off because that's annoying. That's going to get annoying to me. Where is it? Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Oh, that's because it's in the banner section. If I should be in the right section in order to turn it off. All right. Autumn Sword says, favorite monster movie.
Legend of Boggy Creek.
Legend of what would be my favorite monster movie? Oh,
I don't have one.
Dracula would be my second.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, monster movies. It's like the old school too, like the rubber suit Godzilla. I just love them. I don't know. I grew up with them, so I love them. All right, good question. Good question. That started us off good. Daniel Reed is in the house. Does Kenny's shirt have a rabbit winged sperm on it? No, it's the ghost from Mario Kart. It says, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. It's a little spin on it. Excuse me. Woo. All right. Tina, JT, Kenny, have you ever watched any informational videos from Dr. Jeff Meldrum? I know I've watched some, but to be honest, I can't recall what I watched and what they were about. I know I've watched something that he's done, but I'm not sure what. And going into this, because we do have, I just checked, we have like just about 4 weeks to the to Bigfoot conference, and I'll be doing a presentation there. So I'll probably be reviewing some of his work just to include it in what I'm doing. And because I still haven't figured out what I'm doing. Basically, I was going to do one where the title of my talk was, yeah, I'm a skeptic, but I'm not your enemy. Don't kill me. So we'll see. We'll see how that runs. All right, moving on. Raptor, what's up? To everyone in the chat that had experiences with Bigfoot, did you record it on video? Oh, that was for everyone in the chat, but we can answer too. That's up to you.
I've recorded some strange sounds. Don't know what they are, but yeah, I've recorded some things over the years in the forest.
Okay, but no, I mean, you said you didn't actually see any, so
yeah,
I imagine you don't have any video of.
No video of Bigfoot, but I've recorded some strange sounds that I can't identify.
Okay, all right, that's good. We're getting through these questions. Good. Raptor, again, what part of the United States does this gentleman research?
Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Maryland.
Ooh, West Virginia. Daniel Reed, that's your territory. You should. Daniel Reed's a good guy. He just did. We were at the Grafton Monster Festival in West Virginia, and he did a real nice presentation. He's a contributor to Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which is right back here, if anyone's curious. But it was a really good presentation, and it was nice because they invited a more skeptical person to talk at the festival. It was the first one, and he did a phenomenal job. So might be something to look into next time you need a speaker, to reach out to him, because he does a really good job. All right, moving on. Donna Barry, can we see the casts? Oh, do you have any casts that are handy?
They're in the back of my truck right now, in a box. I just did an event last weekend that they were on display, so I haven't gotten them out of they're packed away, so I don't have anything right on hand to show you.
Okay. No worries. You know what? I will, if you can you send me a couple pictures when you get a chance? And then
they're on my Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right,
if you scroll down back to April, you'll be able to see them.
Ooh, I will, I'll look that up while we get the next question up. And then maybe I can share some. Do you ever check for DNA from casts?
Nope.
No. I mean,
nope.
Do you ever find anything in the casts?
The ones I found in the mud had leaves and twigs and debris in it, plus about a half an inch of water at the bottom of each print. So it's kind of hard. I'm not a scientist.
Okay. Yeah.
Specialist. I'm not a scientist, so I have really no way of getting that stuff collected and make sure it's sent off to the right people. Like I said, I don't have $1,500 to $2,000 to go spending on a DNA test when I don't know what it's going to resolve.
Right, because it's the roll of the dice when you do it. And I mean, that's interesting that you say that it had like an inch or so of water in the bottom of the print, and that kind of that bothers me.
Well, it had rained Friday night into Saturday, so there was water from the tracks. They found the tracks Friday. We weren't there till Sunday to make the castings, so there was still water in the tracks from the rain on Friday night, Saturday.
But I guess, it concerns me. That's better than saying bothered. It concerns me because, so it rained. Like, what? I wonder, because I don't know. I wonder what kind of effect the rain has on the size and shape of a print. Does it alter it? Does it modify the shape and size? Like, I'm curious if that would be a factor. Yeah, we could. We're gonna test that. We're totally Oh, we're getting down and dirty. Call up.
Yeah, let me know because there was only about a half an inch of water in it, so it wasn't enough to really change the sides of the print or the toes or the display of the toes, but there was enough in the bottom of the track. It was noticeable. So yeah, let me know if you do testing on it to see of how much water would cause a track to deform. Right. I know in snow, I can speak from experience when because snow will thaw and refreeze, and when it thaws, it expands.
Yes. And
it refreezes and it's a bigger size. So you can't put too much stock in tracks in the snow because it could be a rabbit track, a squirrel, any kind of animal that's a small print. It melts, it gets bigger because of the sun, and then it refreezes and you've got a bigger track. Right. Mud, I don't know if that does that in mud though.
Okay. I'm gonna, while we're talking about it, I'm gonna share the screen really quick because I did find some of your pictures here. So this is from April.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that. You got about what? That would be like 1.25 inches, maybe thick.
1.5 inches.
There you go. So just going through, showing you guys some of these pictures. And this is something that you did?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you discovered this. Where did you discover this?
I didn't discover them. They were actually discovered, as I mentioned, some guys were out turkey scouting, and they came across these 4 prints and took pictures of the prints in the ground and called me, sent me the tracks. I went out and looked at them, measured them, and cast them. And those are the casts that we came back with.
There we go. All right, cool.
They look pretty cool.
Yeah, they look neat. Nice and dirty. We got Daniel was doing he did casts. He made some casts. And I need him to come up and visit again so we can do Daniel, plan a weekend. Come up here. We're gonna put footprints in the yard, and then we're gonna wait for it to rain, and we're gonna make casts. So you might have to stay here for a while. Just plan for like 2 weeks. It might not even be that because this is Buffalo. It rains at least once a week. It rains here. So, all right, moving on. These are good. We're getting through these questions. Good. Does Eric have video evidence of sightings or pictures? Have any? Yeah, we did answer that. He did answer that. That you don't have any video, except just the audio part of the video. So yeah. All right. Cool. Moving on. Carolyn D. But how can they confirm it would be Bigfoot hair with nothing to compare?
The only thing that they can compare it with is the samples they have on file and see if it matches that. That won't prove it's a Bigfoot, but it might prove that it matches the unknown samples they already have. And
so, yeah, I think that's what they do. So whatever is in their database, and not every lab will have the same exact database. So you might have different species depending on the region. But if you do send it in and they test it, does match something, then they have a conclusive result. If they don't, it will come up unconclusive because they don't have anything to compare to or match, and it will remain unconclusive. But I think it will go in their database as a unknown, and then something for later. If something comes up and they can match it, then we can identify it. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you're hoping for. If you actually did send in hair samples or any kind of DNA and it came back unknown, I think I would rather have unknown than inconclusive, because inconclusive could also mean that it's contaminated.
Well, if it's contaminated, they usually can tell you by if it's human or some kind of other animal. They can tell you Usually it's human that's contaminated it. And that's why it's so hard to collect DNA, because it's so easy to contaminate hair, droppings, anything like that. A lot of people do use like latex gloves or sterile gloves to collect it. But a lot of the people that are doing this research are amateurs like myself. They don't have the scientific training. They don't have the experience to properly collect the evidence forensically and then get it off to the right place. So a lot of mistakes are made.
So have you ever found poop that you believed was Bigfoot?
Nope.
All right. Damn.
Nope.
Interesting. I don't know why, but now I want like a little glass dome. I want a little swirl in it and be like, it's Bigfoot poop.
Well, I'm sure there's a few people that would be happy to send you that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not getting that tested. Oh, isn't that like what, Cologuard? The commercials? I'll just send it to Cologuard.
Yeah.
Get your colon checked out. All right, moving on. Lionheart, awesome name. Is the baby Bigfoot footage real or bullshit? I'm skeptic on it.
The New York baby Bigfoot footage, I can't say if it's real or not. I've seen it. There's something swinging in the branches. I can tell you that. What it is, I don't know.
I don't know what this is. Is that recent?
It's back from I want to say the early 2000s, late 1990s. It was filmed at a concert up in New York.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, somebody
like really bad footage. It's really footage. It's far off. Okay.
Yeah, there's something in the background that's swinging around in the trees, and it could be anything. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. Scottish Pride. I love it. Look at that. Look at that beard and hair. Damn. The Pennsylvania Squatch is supposed to be white. How to hiding that in the pines, oaks, and spruce. I have never heard that.
There is one video out there that's suspect to me that somebody came across. They went out in their yard at night in the woods with a flashlight, and there's like a 2-second clip of a supposed Bigfoot face looking at the cameraman before it disappears into the trees. And people think that Bigfoot in Pennsylvania is white. It is not.
Okay.
Based on the eyewitness reports that we've collected, and not just myself, but other researchers, the colors range from black, reddish brown, dark brown, salt and pepper, gray, and we occasionally get white ones, but very rarely. So it's the Pennsylvania Sasquatch is not white. It's a variety of different colors depending on when it was seen and who saw it. It is more than just one reported.
That's interesting. I mean, I've because I'm from Pennsylvania too. I mean, I'm on the other side of the state, on the Philly side, and I've heard about the Bigfoot sightings, and I've never heard of a white one. So this is new to me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, in Beaver County, there's been a few reports over the years of a whitish colored Bigfoot, and up in the northeastern part of the state, there was, like I said, there was supposedly a video of a white one captured for just a fleeting glimpse, and people say that video is legit. I've watched it. I'm not convinced. It looks like a guy in a mask to me, but
okay,
I'm not a video expert.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I'm gonna write that down because I want to look. PA white Bigfoot. Is that racist? Well, okay,
No.
Just making sure. All right, next question. Cat Mac. I live near the Canadian Rocky Mountains, so I always envisioned Sasquatch to live in dense forest and mountains. What is the area in PA like?
Dense forest and mountains.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I do miss being up here. Like, we don't see. I mean, I don't travel as much except road trips, but around here, it is not mountain. There's a lot of flat up here, but Pennsylvania, yeah, it's
beautiful.
You know what? Yeah. Dense forest and mountains.
Yeah, the Appalachian Mountains run through the central part of the state, and then you've got various ridges and parts of the Appalachians on both the east and north. The northern part of the state and a good part of 75% of the state's forested. I mean, you've got some pretty remote areas out there in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Moving on. Ian, what's up, buddy? Assuming Bigfoot exists, continued sightings suggest that there are breeding pairs. Where are the Littlefoots? If juvenile, I love that. If juvenile big feets are like my step kid, I'm trying to read skeptic in that word. Step kid, they'd be tempted from hiding by a slice of pizza. They'd be tempted from hiding by a slice of pizza. Okay. So yeah, like that's always been an issue with me about breeding population. And the amount of people of creatures you would need for a proper breeding population to not inject a genetic mutation or advancement. So yeah, the question, like, where's the kids?
There have been reports of people seeing multiple family units, male, a female, and offspring. I've received reports like that from people around the state, and other researchers have as well. It's nothing common, but we get them from time to time.
Okay.
And other people across the country have reported it as well. Family groups, a male, female, and an offspring. Some people have claimed they've seen juvenile Bigfoot or little Bigfoot running around.
Squatchlets.
I've never seen one, so I can't say that they're out there. But
I
if this thing is real, it has to have a viable breeding population. It doesn't mean there's vast numbers like the deer or bear population, but they have to have at least some kind of viable breeding population to continue to exist.
Right. And that's always a concern, because if you're going to have sightings, especially multiple sightings in an area, then there's got to be a sizable breeding population. And you would think now the world's gotten smaller according to humans. Like, we expand, we move into different areas, we continue to develop, and the habitat that would be available is getting smaller and smaller. And I guess what I struggle with is that these sightings should be more common. I would think that they'd be more common. There should be an increase. Or there's a decrease in the population, and maybe if it does exist, maybe it's starting to decrease and die off, just because of losing habitat. And that's all speculation, of course, because I mean, I don't think that Bigfoot exists. I hope so, because I think that would be cool. Plus, all the merchandise that I have that I've bought over the years would be like, well, fuck, that's wasted. So it would. I hope it's real. But me personally, no, I don't think it exists. But I still look. That's why I go to these things and hang out with Eric and go out and see, because if he finds it, I want to be there. Right next to you. And
if I find it, I want to be there too.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We're doing good. We got a lot of questions. Dr. Jim, can you go over the eye shine colors related to Bigfoot sightings? Oh, and he's got a link. Huh. That I don't know if I can put up. Do you know anything about eye shine different colors?
The majority of people who have experienced eye shine say that the eyes are self-bioluminescent. They light up without an external light force to cause them to reflect, and the color is red or an orangish amber red. That's mainly what people report in their sightings. And for some reason, people say that their eyes have this ability to glow on their own.
Okay. I think that would be something that would be immediately apparent, because it would light up. Even a soft glow would illuminate like branches and stuff in front of them. I don't know if I typed that in wrong or not, but it's not coming up. But yeah, I mean, because I deal with a similar claim when people talk about, and I hate talking about this topic because it pisses me off, orbs, where people say that they are self-luminant, that they give off their own glow. And if that was the case, then you would see evidence of that, especially if there's video evidence. You would see the glow on objects around it or close by. And it would also make it very difficult to hide. And if you have glowing eyes, that really makes you stand out. Because you wouldn't need anything. It's just in the dark, you'd have glowing eyes. And predators or other animals that are afraid of you because they don't want to be eaten would see you coming. So that's kind of weird to me that they have glowing eyes.
Yeah, but that's what's being reported. And I can only tell you what the reports say. I've never seen one, so I can't say their eyes glow or, I've seen eyes shine reflecting to me, like I mentioned, in my high beams of the truck I was driving. So, I mean, in that case, they were reflective. But people claim they see these things without a light source causing the eyes to reflect. Like I said, self-luminescent. And I know there are fish deep in the ocean that have that ability.
Yes.
But that's all the animal. That's the only animal I'm aware. And let's say, for argument's sake, Bigfoot is a mammal or primate. I don't know of any primates that have glowing eyes. So, but I can only report on the data that's I've read about and has been reported to me. That's what the eyewitnesses tell us.
Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on. Next question, please. Dr. Jim, the guy with lots of casts and a knowledge of feet and ambulation, has 200 plus minus casts of potential Bigfoot tracks. From a population standpoint, which is reportedly low, would this not qualify as a decent sample size? If he says 75 to 80% of tracks match that sample size, why wouldn't that lend some level of significance to his claim? So I imagine this is in response to what I said. So I would say to this, there's several factors. We don't know how long the tracks were there. So I don't know if there's a reports for all of them, but the problem is when most tracks are found, they're found. So we don't know how long they were there, which leads to, we don't know how much weather affected them to maybe change the size or shape. And then the most important clue is, even among 200 plus or minus, which one's the sample size that you would compare to? I mean, if they're all taken from different areas, we don't know if there's mixed in like actual human footprints that have been manipulated by weather. We don't know if there's been other ones that were in there, just maybe there weren't footprints. I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is all these are unknown. There's no source that's known for what made each of these footprints. So which one would we use as the comparison model? You can't decide that because they're all unknown. So they could be from different species. They could be from different people. From kids or adults or something like that. We don't know. So there's that problem. And that's why I said what I said, because if we don't know and we don't have an actual known sample that's confirmed to be a Bigfoot creature, a creature that is named Bigfoot, that we identify as a Bigfoot, we simply don't know how to compare it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to say. Thanks, good? Dr. Jim. You want to add anything to that?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, if we had one, all we need is one. Honestly, as long as we get one, then we have a starting point. We have a ground zero. And now we can look at that. We can take a print of that and then compare everything else to it and see like what kind of bone structure. Because, I mean, who knows? Maybe if Bigfoot exists, it could have a completely different bone structure in the foot than what we're seeing here.
But I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench into that.
Sure.
One footprint doesn't explain the entire race, because you have genetic morphology differences based on geographic locations. So in other words, the creatures in the South are reported to be skinnier and not as tall, while in the Pacific Northwest, they're considered to be massive, 7-8 foot tall, very muscular build. The feet are much larger in the Pacific Northwest than they are in the South. So you're dealing with different, you may have the same species of animal, but like humans, we have different
subspecies.
Yeah.
Good point. I mean, if the stories lend to a different model, if you will, a different model, then you're going to have variations. But at least if we had one, hopefully with both feet intact, we'd have a left and right that we could start comparing it to.
Yeah.
So you're right. I agree. If one wouldn't solve the problem, we'd have to have samples from different regions, if that was possible. So good. All right, moving on. Like this. Raptor, question about the night hikes. Are you going to be in the state park or federal park? And what makes you think Bigfoot would be there?
Well, we're going into a state game land. We've got permission from the Pennsylvania Department of Wildlife to go in there. And there have been sightings in this game land over the past 10 years. There have been multiple sightings in this game lands that not only I have documented, but other researchers have documented as well. And it's an area that's close enough to the campground, and it's safe enough to take a group in to hike at night where you're not risking public safety. So I don't know if Bigfoot's going to be there, but it gives people the feeling or the experience of what it's like to walk in the woods at night while you're doing the wood knocks, the calls, and that sort of thing. We don't guarantee anybody's going to have a Bigfoot sighting. So I saw the question about that earlier, asking about, well, how do you know Bigfoot's going to be there? We don't. And I'm not saying Bigfoot's going to show up. It's just giving people the opportunity to experience what it's like going out in the woods at night and doing the things that researchers do and having that opportunity. We might get lucky and have a Bigfoot run across the path in front of us and pull on Kenny's hair.
Oh, I'm going to tackle that motherfucker.
But the point is, we don't know, and we're not making the claims that Bigfoot is going to be there. We just hope that maybe somebody will hear something they never heard before, or hear a wood knock, or get something out of it. That's what we're hoping, that they enjoy the experience. And that's what a lot of people are going out for a hike for, is to have that possibility.
And to realize how many other noises are out there at night.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
I mean, there's a big difference if you grew up in a city and going out into the woods at night, just in the dark, completely surrounded by nature, which freaks me out because nature has teeth and claws and bats and all kinds of things. But you're right. Like, going out there gives you an idea of what it sounds like. There's so many different sounds. And I mean, even the one time we went out, I stayed behind. Like I know we were going through a trail, and then at one point I broke off. I don't know whose idea it was, but I was supposed to stay in the woods by myself for like 15, 20 minutes or something. And I did, just sat there. And it was an odd experience, partly because I was taken out of it because I could hear the campground. So I knew there were people near me, but then I also would see lights or see what I thought was shadows, or I hear movement, all around you. And it's like, wow, there's the forest is alive. There's a lot around here. So yeah, I think going on these hikes is interesting because it gets you out there. And like you said, you get the experience. You're probably not going to see this mythical creature.
Nope.
You're not going to see it.
But not with a party of people.
Because I mean, if I was a Bigfoot, I'd be like, fuck that. No, look at all them guys. Nope. One of them's got a gun. No. But at least going out there and just seeing what people do. It's almost like a pay-to-play ghost hunt kind of thing. You're going more the experience of going through the motions rather than doing anything kind of like serious. Because you are going to have different people doing whatever they want to do. So it's not a lockdown kind of scientific inquiry. It's an experience. So
well, it's like when we took you out with us and we did that TV episode I told you then, and I told everybody, I said, we're going out in the woods. It's dark. We're going a hike on a trail. And I never guaranteed anybody was going to see a Bigfoot.
Right.
The area that we went to has a history of Bigfoot sightings and experiences. And that's all I can say. We went out. We had a good time. Did we experience Bigfoot? Nope.
No.
We heard some crazy sounds and stuff that made us, what was that? But we didn't see a Bigfoot, and none of us left that night going, "What? We had a Bigfoot encounter."
Right.
We went out and we had a good time in the woods, and that's what we're offering people so they can get that experience.
And we also didn't leave going, well, "This sucked."
Yeah.
Nobody did that because it was fun. It was good hanging out with everyone, talking, having the experience in general, and just having the conversations. Learning about more what you do and how you do it, and it was fun. If you have a chance, I highly suggest taking up the challenge and going out there and just going through the motions. Maybe you'll.
That's why I tell everybody, don't listen to what I say or what any other Bigfoot researcher says, or a ghost hunter or a UFO investigator. Find out for yourself. Go out and do the work yourself. Research, investigate, and find the answers for yourself that you're looking for. You may never find them, but at least you're doing it the way you want to do it, and maybe you'll get the answers you're looking for.
Okay, cool. All right, moving on. That's cool. All right. Tina JT, for Eric, have you read the book released last year by Matt Pruitt, The Phenomenal Sasquatch, Seeking the Natural Origins of a Cultural Icon?
I have not, Tina. I got to meet Matt for the first time in Ohio this past May, and he did have a copy of his book for sale, but I wasn't able to pick one up at that time, and I haven't read it. I'm hoping to, but unfortunately, with my schedule the way it is and as busy as I am with lecturing and events and planning my own event and trying to spend time in the woods, I don't have much time to read, at least not like I used to. So I don't get a chance to read as much as I like. But I will make sure that I can pick that book up in the future and take a look at it.
Awesome. Good answer. All right, moving on. Chris, what's up, Chris? How are you enjoying your awesome steel mug? She's got a Skeptical Help Bar tumbler, and
cool.
I'm so excited that she got one. Question: is Bigfoot supposed to have a strong smell? Ooh, is that the skunk ape?
Well, there are people that claim that Bigfoot does have an odor around it, and playing devil's advocate, if Bigfoot does exist and it is an animal, some animals do have a musky smell to them. You have to remember, if this thing's covered with hair, maybe it has feces stuck in its hair. It might give off a pretty bad smell. Maybe they're hot and sweaty and they have really bad BO. We don't know, but people claim
bears have a smell. So why wouldn't a Bigfoot? If
it's a big hairy creature, you're gonna have all this stuff, mud and muck and whatever, it's rolling around in or climbing in or whatever. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it will have a smell. I don't want to smell it though. I'm not. I don't want to experience that. All right, moving on. Kit Ford. Couldn't a lot of sightings be explained by feral humans? I mean, I'm hairy, but that would take a lot.
I know some hairy people too, but I don't think they would be equated with a Sasquatch.
All right. Michael, why does Bigfoot make tree formation in shape of an X?
I, for one, am not and have never been a fan of the supposed tree markings. People show them to me. Look, there's an X. That means Bigfoot's marking its territory. Or look, there's a teepee. Yeah, there are some ones out there that look like they were put there by someone or something. They're not natural blowdowns. The ones I've looked at and examined, they're odd, but it doesn't mean a Bigfoot did it. It could have been a person doing it, Cub Scouts. I don't know, but I'm not a big fan of the tree marks or the formations or the X's. I never have been. They're interesting to look at and make you curious as to who or what did it, but that's as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, I remember. I recall having a kind of a serious discussion with someone about the trees that were falling over, and it's actually become sort of a, I don't want to say joke because that sounds mean, but it has become a joke with us.
Yeah.
Like we'll drive on the highway, and if there's woods on either side, and we look over and we see like a tree has fallen over and is laying like on a branch of another one, like that, it's like, oh look, there's a Bigfoot house. Bigfoot was here. Because there was a gentleman that I met, nice gentleman, but he was very enthusiastic about that. And
No, you remember when we went out, we had
Yeah.
one gentleman with us that showed us a bunch of pictures, and they're interesting to look at. And I mean, I'm sure some of them could be marked off as wind damage or snow damage, or just tree rot falling. But there's been a few I've seen over the years where they've been intertwined with each other, that falling wouldn't make them go under one branch and over another and behind another. And they look like they were purposefully put there, but that doesn't mean a Bigfoot did it. It could have been a person doing it, or who knows. But I don't think Bigfoots are responsible for the tree breaks. That's just my opinion.
Cool. All right. We're getting through so many. We still got a lot of questions. This is good. I think you got the record now for how many questions we've had. Tina JT, for Eric, what are your thoughts on the Freeman video?
The Freeman video is interesting to me. I can't say it's not a guy in a suit. It very well could be, but it's a very interesting piece of footage. I wish that Paul Freeman was still alive. I know his son is, and his son's taken up the mantle for his father, but it's compelling, and I think that's as far as I can go with it. I noticed, and speaking with other researchers and other investigators, some have made the comment that the arms hang down way farther longer than a human arm would hang. And you can kind of see it in the video, but again, it could be a costume. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's compelling, and I think it deserves further investigation and further study.
I'm gonna write that down because I don't know if I've seen it. I might have, but because there's so many to come across.
There's so many horrible ones.
Yeah, and like I don't know if I watched it or not. And I was recently I think a recent trail cam with like a headless alleged Bigfoot kind of thing, where it doesn't have a head, or it's too far down and camera can't see it. But that was just sent to me this morning, and I was like, I had some problems with that. But I mean, there's so many. But I just wrote it down, so I'll take a look at it maybe this week and see if I can find it. But all right, moving on. Air Force One. I love that name. Question: what are your theories as to sleep patterns? Oh, interesting.
I have no idea what their sleep patterns are. I have never been able to watch a Bigfoot sleep, so
Good answer.
there are people that theorize that they sleep mostly through the day and are nocturnal, and they move around more at night. But there are contrary theories that say there's just as many daytime sightings as there are nighttime sightings. If they're a primate, they probably have the same sleep patterns as other primates, gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees.
Right. All right. Cool. Moving on. Kit Ford, has anyone ever found like Bigfoot poop? If they're in the woods all the time, you'd think you'd find some.
I'm sure there's people that have thought they found Bigfoot poop, but I don't know anyone that's found it and has tested the poop and it's come back saying, it's from a Bigfoot.
It's interesting because like that question, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's like all the times I've been in the woods, yeah, sometimes I come across like deer pellets, but with all the deer, all the animals that are in there, I don't really see feces all that much. Like I literally one once in a while you see like one pile or two piles of.
That's because other
deer
animals
bones.
eat it.
Ew. What? That's
And also you have to remember the weather kind of
right.
washes it away, or the sun dries it out. And
Yeah. It
so
becomes
I've
dust.
seen bear scat, and I've seen coyote scat and stuff like that, but I've never seen Bigfoot poop that I could say, oh my gosh, look at that turd.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. So it just, like it made me think like, all right, yeah, it's probably just because it doesn't last that long and you just don't see it. And I also wonder if there's, again, if it exists, if there's some kind of natural like poop and cover it,
Yeah,
like
they could bury it. They could poop in water sources,
ooh,
like a creek, or
not going in creeks anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Good one, Kit. Thanks for making me think about Bigfoot poop. Nancy, do shows like Monster Quest and the Mountain Monster Hunter guys pose issues like fake or sensationalizing?
Well, the Monster Quest show was more of a scientific look, an attempt to look at the subject matter, the different cryptids. The Mountain Monsters show was entertainment. I know the guys personally, they're friends, they're great guys, very down to earth. I don't have a bad thing to say about them, but the show is for entertainment purposes. It depends on who you ask whether or not it hurts the study. I think all TV shows hurt the study because you're dealing with producers who want sensationalism and want people to tune in. So they're going to put content out there that make people want to watch the show.
Right. And to add on to that, I've been a part of some projects that have tried to get a more scientific approach off the ground. And it's very difficult because it's long and tedious, which for TV is boring. It makes for boring TV because most of your time is searching. Like for me, most of my time is right here. There's field work. Yeah. But once you're done the field work, you have to investigate some claims and stuff like that. So I sit here a lot. So I think a good scientific approach to it would just be really boring, and not a lot of people would stay tuned.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You see a lot of sensationalism in it because you have producers that want to sell a show, and in order to sell a show, you have to have the audience there all the time. You have to have them on the edge of the seat. That's why you have the dramatic music. You have the dramatic cut scenes. You have the right before the commercial break, like, did you hear that? And then they cut to commercial because now you're going to watch all the commercials who pay for the advertising to see what's going on. So yeah, I get it. All right.
Yeah, what people think, not everybody thinks, but a lot of people think that when you go out looking for Bigfoot, or you go ghost hunting or UFO investigating, you're going to have something happen every time you go out, and that's not the case. It's boring sitting in the woods at night. Sometimes it's quiet. I've fallen asleep against trees. It's been that quiet, and I'm that comfortable in the woods. Just sitting there up against a log or something, just waiting for something to happen. I've dozed off. I'll admit it, but things don't happen every time you go out. And somebody who says they have encounter after encounter, experience after experience, maybe they have those experiences in their mind, but that's not what really is happening out in the forest. You may see a deer, may hear a coyote, or an owl, but that's about the most excitement we have on most nights we go out.
Right. And then the problem that adds on to that is if you see those things, that's one thing. But if you don't see them because they're just beyond your vision, then that causes another issue, because now you're hearing sounds. And I mean, if you're in the dark in the woods, you get that fight or flight kind of feeling. You're on guard because you're waiting. But we can also say with some people that go out for this, they have that expectation because they're on a Bigfoot hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there for that reason. And therefore, the first thought is that a Bigfoot? Is that one of them? And it might come away. You might come away from that experience thinking that you had an experience with a Bigfoot where you really didn't know. You don't know if you did or not. So, all right, cool. Moving on. It's awesome. Ian, much like the UK's mysterious big cats, remains are rarely, if ever, found. Doesn't that strike you as odd? So little physical evidence.
Yeah, there's very little physical evidence found, but the reports continue to happen, and people claim they're still seeing them. So that's what I try to find out, if people are really seeing them or not. There are animals out there that do leave little physical evidence for you to find. I mean, when an animal dies in the woods, usually within 7 to 10 days, that animal is completely decomposed, and there are smaller rodents and insects that devour the bones and scatter the bones, and there's nothing left. So there is sometimes evidence left, but by the time someone has to be, comes across it, it may not be there anymore.
Right.
You got to be in the right place at the right time, and get really, really lucky to find something that you can call evidence. But that doesn't discourage me from keeping, the drive to look for it.
Right. And that's understandable. I mean, anytime you take a hike, it's not like you're coming across bones after bones after bones.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see bare bones.
Hardly ever see it. I mean, once in a while as kids, running around, we would find like the skeleton of a fox or something like that, but it was rare. And that's for the animals that we know are in the woods. Not let alone a large creature that we're not sure about. So who knows what happens? And you're right. This one dies, that starts decomposing, and obviously there's a smell that goes along with that, but that attracts other animals who will come and eat the carcass. So, and like you said, spread the bones around, and you might not find any. So, good question though. All right. Steph. Hey, Steph. Have you spoken to different Native American tribes to see what their ancestral stories passed down have been? How do they differ?
I have only ever spoken to one gentleman who is part of a tribe, the Susquehanna Indians, and we talked about the Albert Witch and the lore, around Chickee's Rock and Columbiana along the Susquehanna River. That's the only person I've ever talked to about it. I've done some reading on the Lenni Lenape tribe here in Pennsylvania, the Iroquois Nation, Seneca Nation, and some of their beliefs, but I've never had the opportunity to interview any of them or speak with them. I've been invited to a powwow, was it last year? I think it was, maybe a couple years ago, and I wasn't able to make it, but that would have been a great opportunity for me to talk with them and have them share their tribal lore and history. Right. I've never had the opportunity, unfortunately. Okay.
All right, moving on. Air Force One. Why do you think Bigfoot community is so toxic? Oh, this is a great question for you.
Well, we only have about 7 minutes left in the show, so it's all about ego. It's all about the want to be that famous person who finds conclusive proof that the animal is real. There are so many people out there that refuse to be kind to another, I guess is the best way to put it, to understand that everybody's going to have a different opinion. Everybody's going to have a different mindset. You can agree or disagree, but you don't have to be an asshole. And there are just too many people out there that are assholes that think that they're right and other people's opinions don't matter. And like the UFO field, like the ghost field, all people do is fight, and they can't get along. It's all ego driven.
Yeah. And we see that across the board. I mean, it's the kind of, I would say it's a hobby, because a lot of these are hobby. Ghost hunting, UFOs, Bigfoot, they're hobbies that people get into because they're really enthusiastic. The ones that are really, really enthusiastic get out there. They do this for on their weekends. It becomes part of their identity. And therefore, when they go out, many people feel like they're an expert or they know what they're doing. And some have good information. A lot have bad information. And when it comes down to science, a lot just don't have it. And yeah, you have those egos where people want to be the next one, that they want to be in the spotlight. That's basically what it comes down to. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to be recognized instead of cooperating, instead of having conversations. And it's sad because that leads to a lot of name calling and, talking shit about different people. That's why we don't tolerate here. We have our chat room, and our rule is be nice. Like, you can debate and discuss and disagree. That's cool. But don't start name calling, because if we see that, you're out. We don't have time for that. We don't deal with that. We deal with it enough. All right, I'm being told to wrap it up.
That's basically it. I mean, you don't have to agree with everybody. Everybody has their own opinions, and they're entitled to their own opinions. But you don't have to be an asshole to people.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And there was a point in my career, probably about 10, 15 years ago, when my ego got a little out of check. And I was thinking, man, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know my shit. The truth is, I don't know shit. I don't know anything about this field that's going on. I go out there and I do the best I can with the knowledge that I've learned and the experience that I've learned, and try to get some answers. Am I right? Maybe. Am I wrong? Maybe. I don't claim to be anything, but just doing what the best I can do. And that's all I do.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can shotgun some questions, because we're down to about 5 minutes left in the show. All right. So do you think that Bigfoot has a chance to be real compared to other cryptids?
I think it has a better chance than the other cryptids. Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to machine gun through these. I like to get as many questions in as possible. So, Sean.
Oh God.
Did either or both of you see this movie Sasquatch
Yes.
Sunset? If so, what do you think about it?
Absolute garbage.
I gotta watch it.
There's some funny parts to it, and there's some parts to it that you just shake your head and go, "This is the stupidest movie I've ever seen." I'm not going to tell people not to watch it. You watch it and judge it for yourself. You might find it a fun cult classic favorite. I just wasn't impressed by it. I was just like, this is terrible.
Okay. All right. Next. Wisdom, what's up? Is there Bigfoot hunting laws protecting them from hunters?
Whitehall, New York has a law on their books. There is a county in Washington, which the name escapes me. They have a misdemeanor law on their books. I believe Texas has a law on their books. And I think that's really it. There's some small communities out there that probably do as well, a misdemeanor for shooting at it. But I think that's more to protect people than it is the animal.
Okay. Next. We got Air Force One. Do we all agree that it is going to take nothing less than a body to prove the existence of this creature?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Preferably a live one. All right, next question. Tina, honestly, do you really think the government would really allow the finding of Sasquatch to ever be released? The amount of money lost by timber companies, etc., would be monumental.
That's a hard question to answer, because I don't know what the government's truly doing. They could be keeping it quiet. They could know about Sasquatch. There are stories out there and reports out there that the government is aware. And they've even come from people in military groups that have claimed to have been told, watch out for the Sasquatch when we're doing maneuvers. So there very well might be government entities that are aware of it. We just don't know about it. I know it sounds fringe and controversial, but
right.
It could be the other side of the coin too. No, there's no government agency that studies Sasquatch or is aware of it. We just don't know.
It sounds very conspiracy theory to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it would matter if there was a Bigfoot or if they knew. I don't think it would be a loss of money to any of these companies, because they're still going to be.
I think maybe if it was proven to be real, they may put it on an endangered species list and protect habitat. That might be the only thing the government might get involved, is protecting habitat, like the owl, the spotted owl up in Washington and Oregon that was protected, and they protected habitat and kept the logging companies out for a while. So that's a possibility, but until there's one found, we'll never know.
Okay. Thank you, Air Force One, for the $2. I appreciate it. And you're welcome for covering this topic because I thought it was a cool topic. All right. Tina, Eric, have you had the chance to visit the Nest site?
No.
No.
I've been in Washington State, but never to the Olympic Peninsula. And that's where a lot of the nests are being found right now. And they look compelling, but I've never been there to see them in person and study them. So no.
Okay. Air Force One, question at Eric, kill or no kill?
I'm a no-kill person for just my personal beliefs. I just want to see one of these things. I don't have an intention to prove it, but the only way you're going to prove it is to have a dead one. So either it gets hit by a car, someone stumbles across a recently deceased Bigfoot, captures one live, which I don't think will ever happen. But the only way it's going to prove it's going to be a body. And if that means killing it, then that's what has to happen. But I'm personally no kill. I'd rather just see one for myself and then be done with it.
Yeah, I don't see the need to intentionally kill a living thing just so we can say, yeah, we got one. All right, Kit Ford. I have heard that some people think Bigfoot has some sort of relationship to UFOs. What are your thoughts on that line of thinking?
Well, there are a lot of reports that came out in the 1970s involving Bigfoot and UFOs either being seen together at the same time or hours apart, days apart, same location or in the same vicinity. So there was some talk about it, some reports that came out. Most of the Bigfoot reports that I'm aware of that I've investigated do not have a UFO connection to them. Usually it's just an animal being seen or encountered. So I don't think there's any viability to that, but there are, and I won't say there's no reports out there. There are some that have occurred over the years that people claim that there was one seen in conjunction with the other one. Does it mean they're related? No. It could have been just a coincidence, but we don't know. There's just this handful of reports over the years.
I maintain that is because the episodes of $6 Million Man that people believe that or have that idea. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google search $6 Million Man Bigfoot.
We all know Andre the Giant is the real Bigfoot.
Autumn Sword. Why would a nocturnal creature have an bioluminescence eye? It's not needed for nocturnal hunting, and it would be a giveaway for other predators, wouldn't it? Yes, yeah, it would be.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I touched on. Yeah, like that. It would just give it away. There's no reason for it, and we don't know any land creatures that have that, right?
Not that I'm aware of, other than the fish that we're aware of. Right. That's it.
Okay. Good question.
One more.
Oh, this is all right. Miss Jackie. I had a weird experience in Revelstoke, British Columbia, with the telepathic message telling me to leave and the feeling of absolute dread. Also, I experienced the silencing of everything around me. Have you?
I have not had the feeling of dread. Well, let me correct myself. I've only had it one or two times where I felt like, I should get out of here. And I think it was my body reacting to something. I don't know what it was from, but I had a couple of those, and I can't say it was Bigfoot related because there was nothing going on Bigfoot related at the time. I just got this overwhelming feeling of like, I shouldn't be here. It's time to go. And it could have been myself psyching myself out.
Right.
The incidents of silence, yes, that's happened to me on several occasions where the woods have gone completely silent. And usually when that happens, that means that there's a large predator in the area. Birds, insects will go quiet when there's something around. They're alerting you to its presence. That doesn't mean it's a Bigfoot. It could have been a bear or a coyote or something else. But from my experience, when the woods goes quiet, there's some kind of big animal out there that's causing the woods to go quiet.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Just
I think about the stories that were shared by the Vietnam vets that I heard about, and they said they ran into these creatures and they threw rocks. I wonder if those were true stories.
Yeah, there's several documented cases of Vietnam soldiers encountering, they call them the rock apes. And they supposedly encountered them on night patrols. And as Steph says, excuse me, there were rocks thrown at the soldiers, driving them out of the forest. But yeah, you can Google that and read those stories. They're pretty interesting and compelling, but then again, they're just stories.
Okay. All right. And you know what? That's a good point. I'm glad that you ended, because we're ending the show now, but I'm glad that you ended on that point, that they're just stories. And that's the problem with a lot of this stuff across the board. We have a lot of stories, but no hard evidence. And that's what we need. That's really what we need in order to say yes or no about certain things. So, all right. So I just want to let everyone know again, the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Weekend is coming up September 6th and 7th. And it is at Benner's Campground, right?
Benner's Meadow Run Campground in Farmington, Pennsylvania.
Okay. And tickets are still on sale. So if you're interested in going, please come out. Daniel Reed, I'm looking at you because I know you probably can make this. But come on out. I'm gonna do a presentation. There's 7 others, I think you said. There's 8 of us total that are doing presentations. There's plenty of vendors. There'll be plenty to look at, plenty of people to talk to and have discussion with and see all kinds of, like for me, it's all the stuff. I love the novelty stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be tons there. I'm going to have a few things there. I don't have any with me, but I'm going to have a few things. Oh, look at the little puppy.
It's Napoleon.
That's awesome.
He's so cute.
If people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? What's the best way?
They can go to the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society website, which is pabigfoot.com, or they can go to the event website, pabigfootcampingadventure.com.
All right. That sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you, bud, in a couple
of weeks.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good to see you guys. It's been a while.
Yeah. We're going to have some fun. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I can say real quick before we go, in addition to that one, let's see, that's September. So that's our next event coming up. October, we're going to be in Vegas for SciCon, which is October 24th, 27th. If you're interested or in the area and you like science conventions, this is one of the biggest there is. Plus, we're going to have Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox out there. It's like big rock stars of science are going to be out there. Plus me. I'm going to be there. Yeah. And Donna's going to be there too.
I'll be there.
And then after that, in November, November 2nd and 3rd, we're going to be in Woodbridge, New Jersey at the Para-Unity Conference, hanging out there. We always have a good time there, too. And with that...
One question for you, Ken.
One question for me. Rabba-ba-ba. Kenny, what perks do members get? So there should be emojis, and you'll have member... I don't really announce it, and I apologize for that, but I don't really promote that because I feel weird promoting that kind of stuff. But I did it because people asked. So basically, you're going to get some special emojis that should be available to you. And if the members that are members now, if you can't access them, let them know. Let me know because I'll try to fix it. But you should have access to special custom emojis that I created. And then there's going to be content on YouTube there that for members only. That I'm going to do short little videos and little posts just for members. But this is the first week that it's available, so give me a few days to get that going. So hopefully that answered your question. Everyone else, have a great weekend and be safe. And Eric, you stay on for a moment while we go out. But everyone else, remember to never stop learning. And I'll see you next week.
Yep. Goodbye, y'all.
Hey, diddle diddle. Here's a little riddle. Who's the best at bunker is a Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a skittle. That's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. It's such a skeptic, he keeps those believers exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Some may say that's not for me. To each their own, will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy. Can you remember? You like Kenny better, so head to the Skeptical Help Bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only Kenny Bill.